all, welcome to another vlog episode from me, Bad Girl Mystic, on using your creativity to help heal trauma in a holistic approach. So looking at healing our body, because there's a lot of physical challenges when you've had PTSD. Specifically, what I'm talking about is early childhood trauma, PTSD from age 0 to 7. Many physical challenges that come throughout that. Talking about focus, there's many challenges that come from having to live in survivor brain and how that layers unconsciously onto our habits and our reactions. And spiritually. Now, for myself, I spiritually find a lot of support and empowerment by doing what is called my own solitary practice of witchcraft and what I call she alchemy. So getting very specific, fine-tuning the focus of my healing to specifically on how to heal a female body. How to specifically heal my body. So it's looking at how do I learn best in the world? I'm a kinesthetic learner. What are my challenges? What are things that come easily to me? What are my gifts? And to use that information, use the elements of nature to level up, create alchemy. So I call it she alchemy. And specifically this series right now is focusing on, with the tool of coloring, how to, as we move through the year, use the chakra cycles, the chakras that are aligned and attuned with our endocrine system and our hormones, the fuel, the octane fuel behind emotion, because emotion is a chemical reaction. I'm having some tea right now. It's a very rainy day here in Northern California, so please forgive me because it can be the sound. It can be awfully loud. Anywho, so I have here in my notes, this was the question that came up I shared last week. How am I using my power? And I shared the book in last week's vlog where I am getting my own guides and prompts on my approach. So right now we're in the power chakra, May 1st to June 21st. And one of the ways that I very simply am in my power when I color is I like to color block. If I'm using the coloring book of shadows, the Magical Planner 2020, and the author Amy has a wonderful YouTube channel, and she teaches all kinds of art techniques on her YouTube channel. So this is more specifically of how I use the contents of the book in my own healing as opposed to art tips. Do I throw in art tips every once in a while? I throw in what works for me, and if it helps you, awesome. Like, some people dig what I do, some people, whatever, maybe they don't. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I color to stimulate the vibrations of, because we react to color. There's a palpable vibration that is given off of color the same way a musical note gives off a vibration. And we take it in through the eyes and it connects with our brain. So yellow and the solar plexus chakra. Yellow invokes empowerment, healing. But a lot of times with trauma, we don't feel so fucking powerful, right? I've got a chihuahua crossing right now. we don't feel so powerful in our body. And it's like, to feel power, first we have to get away from the people who are either consciously or unconsciously contributing to keeping us in a state of powerlessness, insisting that their needs or wants or desires are more important than our own or our own safety. So when asked, how am I using my power? One of the things that came up for me many years ago, I had a brain injury about 7 years ago. And one of the things that came up for me, because I was no longer in my power the way I used to be, I was no longer physically powerful, or at that time, I no longer felt financially powerful because I was unable to do the work that I used to do, which was education and for nutrition and holistic healing. So what came up for me was, okay, so if I'm no longer powerful in this specific way, what am I still powerful in? Even though I have a brain injury, if I keep saying that I'm in a state of disempowerment, I'm going to continue to be miserable. And it was triggering a lot of my PTS. It was triggering old stuff I hadn't thought of in years. So at that time, my healing was up and down. So I ask yourself, like, I have these little notes over here. When it comes to power, like, is it when you think of yielding power, like a lot of people are afraid of witchcraft because they're afraid somebody's going to hurt them with their witchcraft, that they're going to be so powerful they won't be able to withstand the power of somebody's witchcraft. So are you using that power to hurt, or are you using that power to heal? And as we all know, our heart can hurt. We have the ability to hurt people with our heart. We have the ability to hurt people with our words. Words are important. We have the ability to hurt people with our actions, our looks, our movements. But we also have the ability to heal. Most importantly, we have the ability to heal ourselves with our heart. So what I started looking at is, I didn't want just to be powerful. I didn't want to yield the kind. I wanted to really get clear on what it was that I was feeling, and to get clear on that, I had to first think about, okay, what do I do in this moment that makes me feel powerful? For me, that's dancing. It could be something else for someone. I was reading the book Being Supernatural, and he has a chapter about walking meditations, and he gets very clinical with his explanations and talks about using that spiritual language. Magical Soul Bitches calls it porn ascension, which I think is hilarious. But none of that fucking shit matters. The only thing that matters is if you're connecting with the words. What is that anchor for you? And, is it something you feel fully committed to? I fully commit to dancing because I know how I feel. Am I the powerful dancer I used to be when I was, and do those moves that I used to do, like the splits and stuff? No. But I know my body when it comes to dancing. I know where I can take it. So that's kind of what started. One of the things you can do during Power Chakra Cycle is imagine doing fire dancing. How are you moving your magic? Imagine that you're dancing with fire. You don't have to actually dance with fire. You don't have to put yourself in danger. It's better that the safer you can make this when it comes to trauma, especially early childhood trauma, the more you're going to connect with that power feeling and be able to anchor it into your memory. If you do TikTok, I suggest, this is what made me think of it. Watch the guy named Datasaurus. It's like every time this kid say Datasaurus, this guy breaks into this hilarious, like insane wrecking ball of a dinosaur. And I found it so funny, but what I loved is this guy commits. He full out commits to his datasaurus. So look at what you can watch it if you can, or think of something where you fully can commit. You don't even have to think about it. And it can be something small. It could even be something as small as like you're really great at sweeping or washing dishes or alphabetizing. It doesn't matter. For me, it's dance and coloring. Working with color comes effortless with me. I know people that doesn't come effortlessly. Some people it's singing. Singing is challenging for me. My mom, music was effortless for her. She once said to me, you know, where do you write down all the melodies you hear in your head? I'm like, Mom, I don't hear melodies in my head, but I feel rhythms. So what is it for you? So once again, how am I using my power? But what kind of power do you want to have? What kind of power are you connecting with? When we have our shadow emotions come up, like anger and distrust and disappointment, how are we able to expand our heart? So as we're working with the power chakra, the next chakra we're going to move into is the heart chakra, which is green. So this month I'm working with specifically a lot of yellow and green shades in my coloring to invoke those vibrations in the heart chakra. And what's going on around you? This morning I hadn't used my pendulum in a long time. I found it in storage. I sat down with a cup of tea in front of my altar, and I had my pendulum in my pocket to charge, and I stood up and the pendulum fell out of my pocket and it broke. I can repair it. The chain broke off it, but the message I got to me is even go deeper into my own intuition. The more you trust yourself, the more I trust myself, the more my power grows, the more I am empowered, because I'm not continuously stopping and starting by questioning what I'm feeling or discounting what I'm feeling or pushing down what I'm feeling, because I'm unwilling to embrace those shadows of the past, of trauma. And I don't mean like you have to condone what was done to you, but at a certain point, you know, I have done things where I've hurt people out of selfishness, and I hurt people because I didn't know what kind of power I wanted. And I thought that by being powerful was stepping over other people. Yeah, I was a real fucking bitch at times. So when we lack a clear connection to our intuition, when we are discounting our intuition, then sometimes yielding our power can have very dissatisfying results. And that's when there's this feeling of weakness. When I was 20 years old and I first started on a journey of healing the trauma that I had, I was looking for a therapist, and I was looking because I was doing this on my own, and I did not tell my family because I didn't want them to discount it and talk me out of it. I went to all these different places that took sliding scale, and I knew I was in the wrong place when this one guy told me that for my eating disorder I just had to have more willpower. I had to fake it till I made it to be strong, and I was tired of faking it. I was tired of faking being powerful. I really wanted to know what it was like just to be comfortable and trust myself in my own body. So last week I asked, how are you using your power? This week, the question I'm asking myself, and even fine-tuning more, even though I've talked about heart power, I've even been published writing, contributing to a book about women's health about heart power. So as we move from the power chakra, we're going to move into the heart chakra. What makes you feel powerful in your heart?